maybe there's some licks in there that could be like, I don't know, some sort of remix or some sort of techno savvy dance beat, heavy punk. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I put it out there. You can add whatever you want, but let me know. Just let me know. There is music out there right now. It's hard to believe it. I'm talking. There's 1,000 people on God knows what somewhere in a warehouse with some techno beat, and they're leaving that event thinking the Earth is flat. You know what? And that's amazing. People go, "You are a danger," and it's like, listen, man. The physics is the physics is the physics. Okay, if in the end, if there's a stalemate where people are like, "I'm not convinced," it's always these paintings of space, and then they like start throwing like calculating the Earth's curvature, which is what you've done to say the Earth is 26,000 miles in circumference. Circumference means the curve of the round Earth. Now, things got to disappear on the other side of a curve, like a mountain or a building. And there's the problem: is the distance should be hiding the building's top or the lighthouse or whatever it is, or the skyline of a city, because the curve of the Earth is concealing. It's on the other side of the curve, and the hoops they'll go through, and the somersaults and the acrobatics, and you're not seeing what you're seeing. And that's a mirage, exactly where it would be if the Earth was flat, because the sky has this tendency to defy curvature with a mirage of it being there as if it was flat. And you're like, ooh, this is a good one. This is like the devil's got a dumb one, and he's got to pass this last line. And he passes it, and you go along with it. You go along with all, because you know what? I'm actually doing the history of the flat Earth, so I get to go. You know, before it was round, they thought there was more land. Flat, geocentric. Before the round Earth. Now we know better. But I really go into it was much bigger and better, and look at all the architecture and pyramids and monuments people who thought was flat built, so boy were they done, and Greece. Greece thought it was, come on. Then let's go back, okay, like Thailand, India. They're carving into the rock. Like they're just shaping down a mountain to be a temple. Like it's all one solid rock. Thought about precise. Good taste. A different understanding of electricity. Polarity. But they were dumber because they didn't know the Earth was round. Amazing what they built, though. That's all we're going to say, but they were dumb. Dumb as a bag of, like, Hindu temples. With really, really complex geometry and sculpture and design and perfect symmetry that even with today's instruments and tools and technology we can't fathom even entertaining. The idea that we would be able to construct that straight through solid rock of a mountain, a perfect house. One solid piece. Fucking idiots when it came to the shape of the Earth. Make it make sense, vaccine maker. Make it make sense. Go on. Well, mRNA is like a new technology. Yeah. Wow, my body's an old technology. Imagine that. How I'm definitely not touching your new shit. You know what I mean? You haven't even figured out this stuff. And this is all because God takes care of me. God gave me a body to take care of, whatever it is. I'll figure it out. And I'm going to use God stuff like clay already made, done, pulled out a tumor. Acupuncture, botany, food, I think it's good that so and so, and I'm not going to say his name, is requiring doctors to know about nutrition. Like, wow, imagine that. Like, eating. What could do the wear and tear on the inside organs? I wonder what it would be. Not eating or eating. Of course. Make them know that. And then some doctors are calling for him to be removed, saying he's crazy. I'm supposed to learn nutrition as a doctor. I'm supposed to know what people eat and what food is good for you and bad. I'm a doctor. Make it make sense. Here, let's do a song like Make It Make Sense. 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 That's the song. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Make sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Make sense. Make sense, not war. Make love. Oh, you make sense first. Start making love before you make any sense. Any fitting sense. Gotta start making start making love. You better make sense. What you getting and what you have. Make it make sense. Let me see that again. Make it make sense. Let me see it again. Before you make love, make sense. Make sense of them. What sense do they have? Besides that sense. That scent of a woman. Scent of a woman. Make it make sense. I dispense sense like it's going out of style. I will give you some sense. Sense is a sense. If you're missing any kind of common sense, I got piles of sense. Common sense. Help yourself to a pile of my common sense. Help yourself to sense. Help yourself to common sense. Help yourself to some sense. Let me help you make sense. Let me help you make sense. For God's sakes, you're not making any sense. Listen to you. Saying that suffering simply got it. I caught it. This is an invisible warp speed. I'm warped. You're Captain. Captain Warp. Things gonna warp. You get like a wooden fort, and you're like, it looks really cool until that first rain, and then the wood, which was like kind of like a MDF, and you thought, well, I got a piece of plywood. It's like, no, that's pressed cardboard. And then the rain hits it, and then there's your fort wall, and it bows, and it starts to like get all like warped, and then it starts to get a smell, and it's warped. It starts like coming off of itself, like it starts splitting and separating, and it's different manufactured layers, and it's like, oh, I gotta cover this. And even if you cover it, and you put some varnish on it, and you kind of like, I got like a shiny coat. It's gonna repel the rain. Humidity gets to it when the rain hits. Barometric pressure. Humidity's up there. Pow! Cold front hits it. Torrential downpour. Sure, it's not, but it's so humid. Starts to bow again. Starts to separate, and it's different layers. And that's kind of the vaccinated at this point. They're going to continue to bow and warp. It's warp. It's a warp speed. I told you. He told you. He wasn't lying. He says, listen, this is so crazy, so effed up how fast I'm going to make this happen. That if you do this, there's a good chance. You know why they call it warp speed? No, that's because of Star Trek. It's because it's warped. It's warped thinking. Look up Crazy Man, warped thinking. That's the only kind of warp speed you have here, because you're not Captain Kirk. You're not in space. I don't know where you got this idea where you could grab that phrase from a spaceship show from the 60s and put it into science, let alone, okay, everybody in the world's got to put this thing in their arm. And people went Star Trek. And I was like, after a while, I was like, they didn't get the shot. They got the Spock. They got the 1, 2, 3 Spock. And then the booster Spock. That's the booster where he's in the capsule. Star Trek 3, where he's going to Genesis. He's going to, from the Wrath of Khan, and Star Trek 1, where they're making a new Earth. He's going there in a Spock shot capsule. Booster comes in, drops the capsule. It's all medicine. Gonna get him in a booster. And then in the capsule, the space capsule. Down your throat. Oh, I got my Spock. I got my Spock in the rocket. The rocket is the needle. It's the same shape. They got capsules. They got space capsules. They got capsules going down your throat. They got needles and like missile rockets going into your arm. Space and medicine look creepily similar in props. Oh, okay, it's not the same thing. Well, okay, so it's a small rocket going into your arm. Still like a NASA Saturn IV or Saturn V rocket. It's a needle. It's a CN Tower needle. They call these things the space needle. Like this is like you go, no, you're crazy. And they're like, listen, man, space needle. Washington. It's needle. Space. Putting them together. There's Neil deGrasse Ball on a late night talk show during the whole take the Krispy Kreme, take your IQ 19. It's like the highest you'll ever score with an IQ test, 19. That was the average IQ rate, apparently. That's why 19. It wasn't like there was 18 prior pandemics. Was there? I don't know. Was it counting? SARS with the Rolling Stones breaking open Toronto after a boycott of all the people that were infected and just stay in your town. That I remember. Girl was on CBC News taking off her shirt. She had her cans out, and you're like, wow, this is really the end of SARS in Toronto. And CBC being like conservative. And it was from that moment onward. And you know what? It's not important. It doesn't affect you. It affects Can't say anything anymore. Can't say anything. Picked up music. You guys got to decode everything now. You have to decode everything, and I have to walk back stuff too. Because it's like, they're the files in charge. Weird. Something weird going on. bed bugs, because I want to let them bite, or I don't let them bite. I want to let them bite, but don't let them bite you. You know what I mean? So let the bed bugs bite if you can. You know what? Don't let them bite you. You know, that's, what can I say? That's what bed bugs do. They want to bite you. Let them bite, and but also don't let the bed bugs bite you. So it goes both ways, you know, because I don't want to stop what bed bugs do. And if you've ever had bed bugs, which I have not, so I've had things that resemble it, but there was nothing on me. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go into it, but the point of the matter is ascots are great. We need to make ascots great again, and so this is, I think, how we will bring the women back to us, right? Let them fall in love all over again with men and men like me, who wear the ascot, and we make it great again. MAGA. What the real MAGA was, it was always make ascots great again. And then some people came to the club and decided to do some cultural appropriation on behalf of the continent. Anyways, so, but it really is about enjoying life and good taste. And I just want to have this last thing. It goes out to all of you. You guys for being here. It's amazing to have met the people that were the best, or were able to come and see me somewhere, and you guys are the best. Think about it. What I'm saying is exactly what you think. You've got like a mouthpiece, probably the best mouthpiece for you against this empire of, I won't say the entity's name, but yeah, that's what you're up against. The sooner you realize that, you'll understand why I did what I had to do, and you know, thank God we did. And here we are, like all of us sharing those values moving forward, where we know they'll do it again because they just want to see if they can get away with it. That's how they'll do it again. So that's dangerous, because these are the type of people that are like, what are you going to do? Now it's bully stuff, and it's all out in the open. My concern is that there's no V. You know, V, the movie with the reptile alien invasion. There's no V solution when everybody starts getting sick, because they banned it. So now it's like, well, they're sick, it's spreading. What do we do? Well, we don't have a thing, so well, we just have to put them in a place, like in a detention center, because they're all infected. Because there isn't a V. You want to go to a place where they have the V, but they're not going to like hound you to take it. Now there's going to be none here. So they're just going to be grabbing people, I think. And it's like, I wonder what they would do before to normalize that. That's my concern. Is that this is convenient for some other thing down the road that everybody isn't aware of, but they've been set up in a position for this other event. That's my concern. It's like always been my concern, you know, because it follows that. Like serial killer moves, you know, like it's always the same sort of style, same little clues, same little like hoodwink at you that you're never going to be able to catch me, even though you know who I am probably, but I'm going to let you keep guessing because you don't have any evidence. It's this kind of serial killer occult, but at a level that is, it begs an alien, but I wouldn't trust an alien invasion, wouldn't be stoked or you know, they're in cahoots with. Or they're like faking it. They put on costumes and they hid technology from us. Now there's their time, they're ready, let's play alien invasion on them. They're going to think real aliens exist. We totally train their brains. From Hollywood and here we are with something named after my son coming on the way to here. Probably coming to knock at this door. 3-Eye Atlas. The worst is if it comes in and it comes right to my place. Well, maybe that's the best thing. I do need an army. 6-9 mile long, like, asteroid spaceship coming down here Um, for me to command, for me to be able to, delegate and I'm going to lead, I would love that. I would absolutely. Who wouldn't? So, what kind of characters in place where he would like, if I would do that, can you imagine somebody who's in power is like, screw humanity, I want to work with you guys, whatever you guys want me to do, as long as you spare my family and me, I will tell them what you need to do. You need them to all jump off a cliff? No problem. Into a fiery pit? You're going to cook them and eat them up? No problem. I'm your guy. You guys got all the equipment, just spare me and my family. I'm not like that, but I know some people. So let's say they're real, or let's say that's the theater that they're real. I'm not saying, but I'm saying. I'm not saying, but I'm saying, you know what I mean? I can't say anything. Aliens land, yeah, you're going to have people that'll be like, I'm with them. Look what they did against you when you didn't wear a mask. And these aren't even real aliens. And they're like, you're crazy, they're real, and then you're like, no, those are people wearing masks. Oh, so where do they hide this spaceship? Where do they make this? Antarctica? Yeah. That's why they wanted you off bounds. Never to go there. They were building these things. That's where they were able to pull the whole thing off. Landing strips and everything. They show NASA's there showing like cartoons of space, it's coming. Meanwhile, this thing's in the Antarctica, and then they put it up in the sky and it lands in New York. Or wherever. Yeah, that was the whole point. Eyes on Antarctica. Massive real estate, everybody works together, who usually point missiles at each other. Why there when none of us live? What's going on? What are you guys building? All working together there. What's so important there? You must be building something if you're all working together there where apparently none of us live. No one lives. Working together there. Pointing missiles at each other where we are. Where we aren't. All buddies. What are you working on? You're already building together. I mean, I said it long ago. Many different ways. And I believe, I know. Down to Jaron being a plant that was going to be involved in something that he would be the fall guy for all of, you know what I mean? Called it all, them coming in, making the movie, making a movie about me because I won't cooperate with my own comedy skit, like my own event. Like it wasn't just a skit, it was like I'm going to make a skit and an event, a reaction, and then a culture, and then a science, and then a reality. And that was what I painted. And nobody understands that except me, because I'm the originator in the 21st century using the tools as opposed to, this guy being tossed around and mocked throughout the 20th century. This whole thing suddenly had legs to walk on, and it was funny, and it was bratty, and it was a punk sort of thing. And it was really hard to debunk. The debunking. And I was able to sit back and watch the tantrums and the sparks, and like to the NBA, to Hollywood, to events, and having to sit it out during Outbreak 2020, because you didn't take the dork, and you listen to the dork telling you to take dork shots and dork yourself and get dorked. The great dorking, the great re-dork. Right? Dorkters orders. So, dorks. Listen to the dorks. And it came down from like Buddy hanging himself in the jail, because he did. He didn't like walk back to his house in Palm Springs or whatever it is in Florida. He didn't have us all turn our backs during COVID. Stay indoors so Jeffrey Epstein can do the long walk home. It's part of his contract, his witness protection. He gets to brag and flaunt it. You all have to stay inside while he walks back from New York when he's supposed to be dead. I don't know how crazy it gets when roads are cleared for motorcades. I don't know. it really went downhill after that. And it's something, I'll tell you. It is something. Get clay. Things are going to go down. I don't know. People are saying it's going to be like. My son got a little, because we didn't do the circumcision, and we used clay. And that's like a big fear. We used clay, and it's like everything's fine. Took care of it. It's amazing for rashes, for acne, for boils, pimples, poison, venom, poison ivy. Great for poison ivy. The gray blue is the best. Listen, I have a menu of all these things that this thing will treat, and will treat everything. There's a color for everything. It's just multicolored pack, emergency pack, radiation, everything. And you'll see. They use it for chemo. They use it for like radiation exposure, swallowing some, sucking it out of your gut, putting it on you, sucking off the isotopes. I had a guy that got a bunch of clay, and he was doing tests, and I can't say what country he was from, and he was supposed to get back to me. Totally flaked out, this guy. It was weird. Government, university lab. Really strange. Forgot about that guy. Just remembered. Anyways, that's how powerful this is, and you went into hiding about it? This is ridiculous. It's real, though. I'm using it right now. My hair, my teeth, everything. So get the menu. Email me at powerclay at proton.me, mathpowerclay here on Instagram. And I am doing prints, so if you want to reserve Switchboard where Nixon's calling the moon, I got the painting if you scroll down. It's in progress. It's getting finished up right now. There's only going to be 100 in the world ever made. And they'll be signed and numbered 2 to 100, 54 of 100, and dated. So, I mean, these will be the 100 Fabergé eggs of the limited edition of that painting. If you're a serious collector and you want something that's like going to be worth something, no matter what, more than like BitChute, especially if I'm dead, it would be this painting. And this is the death knell in everything, round earth, flat earth. So email me, mathpowerland@gmail.com about that. Get a photo painting shirt, link in the bio, or DM me at mathpowerland@gmail.com. YouTube, IG, love you both. And yeah, get some clay, get your shirt, and recognize each other on the street with the shirt, man. That's how you know you got the best tribe out there to survive this shit. So cross-discipline and full shield battle, man. They're trying to take away the momentum of our mark on their history. We brought it back, folks, and they're trying to shut it down.